everybody, and we are live, and we have got an amazing show for you today. Hello to Nicola, to Vicky Hamp, to Ray Abbott coming in from Ottawa, people coming from all over the world, my old friend Mike Quigley coming from Ace Relocation. Nice to see so many of you there today. Now, we've got a great show for you lined up today. Last week, we were talking about it's time for change. And we really got into that subject with Shelley Crofts, and we're talking about what change could look like. Today, we are going to show you what change looks like. I'm delighted to say that we have with us on backstage Nitsan Udan, who's the CEO of Benivo. We're going to be doing a real deep dive into technology. Great to see more people coming in. I saw Mark Rabe there. I saw Priscilla Tavares. I saw Simon Davis. Great to see so many of you coming in to see the show today. As I said, we've got some really great stuff. Now, you know how it works, everybody. Please join the conversation, write in the comments box, tell us where you are, what's going on in your world, share your comments with us, because we only know who's out there if you actually tell us and write in the comments box. And it's a great way for the whole community to come together. Hi there to Sylvia, to Merrilee coming in from New York and Minnesota, Giovanni from Switzerland, people coming in from all over the world. Now, talking about all over the world, next week we have got an awesome show for you lined up next week. Next week, we're going to look at mobility from an angle that I don't think really has been looked at before. Certainly, we've never looked at it on this show before. And that is diplomatic mobility. People who are moving in the service of their country. And we're super honored that our guest next week is a retired ambassador who was an ambassador in various countries, including in some pretty challenging countries like the Sudan. Also, he's in Pakistan, and then also in other countries like Turkey and Germany and other places. So someone who's got a real overview of moving, but not just moving as a regular expat, moving in service of his country. So I said, next week's show is called Meet the Ambassador, and I highly recommend it, a career well-traveled. Then, of course, as everybody knows, you can get your credits for your, if you need credits for HRCI or for SHRM or for ERC. I'm just going to put them up here now. So if you want codes, if you want your CPE codes, then if you want them from ERC, many thanks to our friends at ERC. It's just up there. If you want them from SHRM or from HRCI, then again, many thanks to our friends at Rocket Mortgage who provide those codes. Just take a snapshot of the picture, of the screen, get your camera out, write it down. We'll leave it up here just for another few seconds so you can get your codes. Every week, we try and share a little bit of breaking news, what's been going on in our industry over the last 7 days. So let's have a look. What breaking news has been happening in our industry over the last 7 days? Here we go. Congratulations to everybody who has got a new job in the last week, to everybody who's been promoted. I noticed there's an acquisition out there. Congratulations on that. I saw it's Blue Ground acquiring Travelers Haven. congratulations to, the launch of the Mobility Collective, which is a new body in our industry. We're going to talk about that a bit more with our change maker, Kristin Faison, in a moment. But congratulations to everybody involved in the launch of the Mobility Collective. And also congratulations to ITX on their webinar tomorrow on Beyond Shared Services. So congratulations to everybody. And also, if you're looking, there's a whole host of new jobs out there. So hopefully one of those jobs will work perfectly for you if you are looking. So moving on, let's now talk about immigration. And as ever, I'm delighted we've got with us our very own Julia Onslow-Cole from Fragomen, who's going to be talking to us about the latest, all the latest in immigration updates. So everybody, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's give a really big old-fashioned welcome to Julia Onslow-Cole. Julia, hi. So last week, I think we left you in France, but you've moved. 1 week's never enough for you in a country. Where are you today?
I'm in Dubai.
And I think I can see the lights of Dubai twinkling behind you from your, yes, I assume, your hotel room.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay. So are we going to be talking about Dubai and immigration update today?
Yes. So this week I'm going to talk about Dubai, and then I'm going on to Riyadh, and next week I'm going to talk about Saudi Arabia.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk about the UAE then.
Okay. So I'm in Dubai, and I just want to say a big shout out to Ali Haider and Martin Kubrick, who I work closely with in Dubai, for all the information inside, sort of insights that they've given me. I went to a business leaders meeting today in Dubai, and it really is quite staggering to see the growth of the economy here. And one of the things that I want to talk about, I want to just cover 4 quick points. But the first point, which is cover a little bit in a longer way, is the fact that there's been changes in the rules about Emiratization. And the thing is that although Dubai is growing...
Emiratization, that's becoming a citizen of the Emirates, is it?
No, Emiratization is about... it's about making sure that Emirati citizens have preferential treatment for local jobs. So, you know, across the region, the whole point is that nationalization of making sure that you're protecting your own nationals is, by sort of proactive means, is becoming much more of a trend in countries which hitherto hadn't had such policies. So in Dubai, it has always been the case that there's Emiratization rates that companies have to follow to make sure they employ enough Emirati nationals. And really, until quite recently, a lot of Emiratis would have actually preferred to work for the government or in public entities, because generally speaking, there's more job security, the rates are a little bit higher, but obviously that's not a sustainable thing. And also the government's very much trying to ensure that Emirati citizens are skilled and have opportunities in the private sector. So this affirmative action that's being taken in Dubai, the changes for this are that instead of checking in with companies every 12 months, there's now going to be a 6-month check-in. And at each 6-month check-in, companies have to grow their Emirati population by 1%. And if they fail to do that, they have to pay a fee for every job that they've given to someone who actually, where the job could have been given to an Emirati citizen, and that's 7,000 dirhams.
So this could be quite substantial if you miss your targets.
It could become quite substantial, because that fee would be actually chargeable every 6 months. So it's not just once, it's every 6 months. So there is an aim that by 2026, all companies should have increased their Emirati population by 10%. And the important thing is that free zones are not part of Emiratization. So if you are in a free zone, which many, many businesses are, you're not caught by this. But there are sort of rumors, and they're just rumors, but it could be that the free zones might actually adopt Emiratization rules. So I think it's just something I wanted to flag because it is an important point, and it's something that the government's very concerned about, and there are a lot of audits going on at the current time. So it's really important to have a look at this. And the second thing to say, it is a regional trend. If you look at Oman, which has incredibly high numbers of young people, when you actually live in Europe a lot, and then you talk about, the declining population or the aging population, it's staggering to see how many young people there are in Oman. But unfortunately, there's very high rates of unemployment. So nationalization policies have always been prevalent in Oman, but now, for the first time over the last couple of weeks, we're seeing changes in Qatar and Bahrain, where they're introducing in certain sectors some nationalization policies or frameworks. So again, this is just another trend. And next week, when I'm in Riyadh, I'm going to talk about quotas in Saudi Arabia, which is a very complicated area, but very, very important. The second thing I wanted to say, there's been a very positive change in the law that if you're a returning resident, you don't have to make sure that you come back to Dubai every 180 days. There's not complete certainty about which categories of visa holder this applies to. It will definitely apply to, for example, if you're a foreign national married to an Emirati, it would definitely apply to that situation. But it's a very positive move, because it was the case that if you were on a visa and you didn't get back within 180 days for some reason, your visa could be cancelled. And the final point I wanted to make is that there has been a lot of excitement about the idea that the government is about to release these green visas. And these green visas are self-sponsored visas for managerial positions. So they're like the golden visas, but for managers. A lot of people are very excited about this, eagerly awaiting. We've talked about it before, but it is a trend that we're seeing across the world of moving away from self-sponsored, moving to self-sponsored, away from sponsored routes. And we're hoping that there will be, and we believe that there will be some announcements very shortly.
Okay, well, thank you so much. What a great update, and safe travels on your fairly short hop across to Riyadh for next week. But thank you. Now, everybody, you know how it works. We're going to bring on our change maker for the week, which is Kristin Faison from Zendesk now. So everybody, hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button. Let's say goodbye for this week to Julia Onslow Cole, and let's welcome onto the view from the top, the wonderful Kristin Faison. Kristin, welcome to Changemakers. Welcome to the view from the top. How are you and where are you today?
Hi, Brian. Thanks for the nice welcome. I am currently located at home, in my home in Hanover, Maryland. So it's a little gloomy out.
Okay, well, you're looking great on screen. We can't see out the window, so I think we're fine, even if it is gloomy. So tell us, I can see you're sitting at your Zendesk even as we speak. But all seriousness, tell us what Zendesk is and does for those who don't. I know you've been on the show before, but for people who haven't seen, who don't know the company, tell us a bit about Zendesk.
Yeah, so we're a SaaS organization. We offer customer service support services to our clients across the globe.
Okay, and you've got a decent sized mobility program out there, and I know you do deal with remote working as well, don't you, in your role?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay, now actually there's so much I want to talk to you about, but let's start off with the charity. Now, as a change maker, everybody can pick a charity, and thank you so much for being one of our change makers. We do appreciate all your guidance and thought leadership when it comes to tech and mobility. But tell us about the charity that you've supported.
Yeah, so March of Dimes is a nonprofit organization that has been around for about 85 years now or so. And their mission is to really lead the fight for health of all moms and babies. They're committed to working to end preventable maternal health risks and death, end preventable preterm birth and infant death, and closing the health equity gap for all families. I was actually first introduced to March of Dimes back when I was in college. And the reason for that is I am a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And we have a joint project with the March of Dimes called Stork's Nest. And Stork's Nest is an incentive-based prenatal health promotion program intended to support low-income pregnant women. And so that was my first introduction to March of Dimes. Fast forward beyond my college days and to 2019, I gave birth to my daughter, and she was 27 weeks and 6 days, born at 2 pounds, 11 ounces.
Did you have a long time in hospital? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I mean, it was her first showcase of her eagerness and her impatience in wanting to enter the world so early. But she had a 57-day stay in the NICU, and to be quite honest with you, that time, when I reflect back on it, it's a bit of a blur, a lot of emotions and things that I almost feel like I block out a little bit. But one of the things that I recall just in the first few days of her stay in the NICU was receiving a basket from the hospital, and it included a number of pamphlets, booklets, various things to not only support her, but support myself, my husband, our family, and, understanding and recognizing that we're not alone in this, that there unfortunately are a lot of women and families that experience their children being born preterm, and a lot of those resources that we received, the crux of that was March of Dimes. Their emblems were left and right on all of the various materials that we received, and so naturally it holds a very special place in my heart.
Well, I'm not surprised, and that's an amazing charity, and she's all okay now. Your daughter. She's
oh my goodness, yes. she's 3.5. She's feisty. She's spicy. Bless. You'd never know that she was born prematurely. So yes, all is well and healthy.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Now, the other reason I was so keen to talk to you today, of course, is that just the other week, the Mobility Collective was launched, and I know you're very active in that. And that ties in very well with what we're going to be talking about in our next top 100 list, which is diversity champions. So tell me a bit about the Mobility Collective and how people can get involved with what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, a very recently launched a group spearheaded by the illustrious Kelly West.
Shout out to Kelly West. Big
yes. Absolutely. But the Mobility Collective, was created with a focus of celebrating the culture, knowledge, and contribution of Black professionals within the global mobility landscape. And so we're very excited to have recently launched our LinkedIn profile. We'll be working to launch our website and be sharing out, information on how to not only how to join, but also just the various initiatives that will be, launching over the course of the next year. So very exciting times. I think it's something that's well needed and a bit overdue. But yeah, more information to come.
Okay, well, absolutely. You've always got a platform here. I promise you that now. The Mobility Collective has always got a platform on The View from the Top. Shoot us any news and we'll make sure we get it out there. If anybody is interested in joining the Mobility Collective, then what should they do? Should they just email you, Kristen, or Kelly, or
Yeah, so if they're interested in joining, they actually can email membership@themobilitycollective.com. And then, as I mentioned, we did recently launch our LinkedIn profile as well. So, folks can search the Mobility Collective on LinkedIn, and hopefully will find us and can connect with us that way.
Okay, cool. Well, actually, we're going to stick with the theme of diversity. I'm going to bring on our producer, Tally, and we're going to be talking about the launch of our next top 100 list, which actually launches officially next week. So this is if you like, a pre-release of it. But it's called the Top 100 Diversity Champions. And we're looking at diversity through every lens that there is. I suppose the more diverse, the better in terms of lenses as far as we're concerned. But what we're going to do is we're going to show you a quick preview of our promo video. I'm going to bring Tally on and we're going to say goodbye to you, Kristen. So everybody, you know how it works. Hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's bring on stage Tally to talk about diversity.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Tell us about everything that's on your agenda for today.
So yes, the first thing and most important is the nominations are going to open on March 1st. And as you said, it's a very wide lens of diversity. And we're actually calling the audience for your help because we want to reach as many organizations or people who are involved with diversity and who can help us promote this, because I think we want to get as many people. It's going to be the top 100, but if we're forced to, I'll be happy to push it over the 100, but that's just between us. But seriously, it's such an important topic. We'd like to reach everyone that is involved with the diversity in global mobility and in the workplace. So please let us know if you think of good ways to promote that.
Okay, and we're reaching out to, if you're involved in a diversity grouping and you'd like to be associated with us, then just contact us, contact Tally or contact me, and we're keen to partner with as many people as possible who want to promote diversity so that we really do get as broad an input as possible as we crowdsource names of all our diversity champions around mobility. So don't be strangers. Do reach out to us if you want to help promote diversity.
Wonderful. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, again, I want to call all change makers. And I saw Kirsty and I saw Nicola and Shelley and Mena in the audience, and all change makers that may be at FEM. We're going to have another happy hour face-to-face meeting with Beth. So do let us know if you're going to be there. And to all the change makers that are hearing me now, and if you still didn't get your invitation for tomorrow, we're going to have a big call and everyone's going to be there. So it's going to be a big change makers party. So we're waiting to see you there.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Tally. We're now going to go straight into the main section of the show, and we're going to be showing you some really, really cool technology. We talked last week about it being time for change. Well, that time is now, and we're going to show you some. So without further ado, we're going to say, sadly, goodbye to you for the week, Tally. I know you'll be backstage putting up the comments on screen. And if I haven't said it often enough, many thanks from me and all the audience for all the hard work that you do. And then we're going to bring on Nitzan Udan, our CEO at Benivo, and we're going to be showing you some pretty cool technology. So let's do that. Everybody hit the heart button, hit the like button, hit the applause button, and let's bring onto stage Nitzan Udan. Nitzan, my old friend, how are you doing?
Good. So good to be back. It's been a long time. I'm excited to be here.
It's been a while since we've had you on the show. Absolutely. So, Nitzan, in the intro, I said it's time for change. And I know we were talking with Shelley last week about it being time for change. What does that mean for you? What does it's time for change, those 4 words, mean for you?
Yeah, so we've been spending a lot of time with mobility leaders, and they all tell us a very similar message to what Kristen was sharing, and that the change makers are sharing, is that the role of mobility has changed. Since the pandemic, there is a lot more responsibility, remote work, and additional work has been added, but the workforce has been downsized. So a lot more is expected with less resources, and there is a call for a change. And now the big trend is about cost savings. Before that, it was compliant. There's always more and more added to the plate. How can we deliver on that? And that's why it needs to change. We can't continue to do things as we've been doing before, because that's not going to work. It's impossible to be able to deliver on all those expectations with a smaller workforce, with less people, and that call for change is something that we've been hearing, and we've been listening, and glad to alongside the change maker to lead the call for the industry to change, to be able to deliver on those expectations.
Because one of the points Shelley was making last week was that things can change more than you imagine them. And I mean, she gave the example of, imagine if somebody out there was thinking, you know what, I could create a system where groceries, or in fact any other goods, could be delivered to your house within the day. But somebody had that dream, and eventually it became Amazon. Somebody had the dream that you should be able to see every street in the world, and and Google came up with Street View. So those big hairy dreams can be out there, and if we dream the dream, then maybe if we dream it hard enough and believe in it, we can actually make some of it happen, if not all of it. And I think that's very much your passion too, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. And in this case, maybe not my dream, but the dream I hear from one of the mobility leaders that shared it with me about a year ago. He said it's very simple, and I like that. He's like, why is mobility always the last one to know when something goes wrong? We are always firefighting. We are always giving explanations. We are never given the chance to solve it while it's still able to solve. And 2 examples on that. One of them is on escalations. When something doesn't work in the vendor, it happens. But by the time it gets to mobility, it's so late. It normally comes from the employee complaining to their manager, who went to the manager, and then goes down to mobility from like, what's going on? And mobility don't even know that something went wrong. So they need to go and say, oh, sorry, I'll have to try and figure out what. That approach is just broken, right? And that's one example. Another example with costs. Right, so we've all been in that place where we run a cost estimate, we got the sign off, and then a year later we need to come back to the business and say, oops, sorry, that ended up costing 3 times more than we expected that to cost. Why again? Why do we need to apologize? Why are we the last one to know? Why can't we be ahead of that and be able to work with the business on solution? That dream is something we spent a lot of time over the last year to make a reality, and would love to show some of it live today.
Okay, well, we're going to. So basically, it's a way of getting mobility to move from being reactive to proactive. And, and the number of times, and I've been involved in this industry for a long, probably too long, but, but I've always heard people say mobility needs a seat at the strategy table, at the top table. And, we've been saying that for donkey's years. And the reality is no one is going to give us that seat. We've got to take that seat, and we've got to take that by proving ourselves to be strategic, by proving ourselves to be proactive, and actually going in there with data. Now, one of the things that's working in our favor, and I really want to get onto it, is this whole question of the power of data and unlocking data. In fact, I'm going to want to go one stage further, because we talk about unlocking the power of data, but actually the one bit of powerful data that everybody has been talking about over the last couple of years, and especially over the last couple of months, is artificial intelligence. And I want to get maybe just Nitzan, talk a bit to us about how we in mobility, and then we'll go into some more detailed examples, but how we in the mobility can unlock the power of data and use AI in and what it could do, how it could change what we're doing.
So one of the challenges we have in mobility is data is scattered all over the place. And what we end up trying to do is just to consolidate that. We never get to analyze that. And because, right, some of the information, even if we have a platform, an assignment management tool, then the payments to the vendors are not happening through that assignment management tool, unless it's Benivo, but it's not happening there. It means that the invoices also sit elsewhere. So comp accumulation is not connected to cost estimation. And actual versus estimate or versus budget is happening offline. Everything is happening offline, and it never matches because there is a spreadsheet here and a spreadsheet there. And when we try to connect, too much manual work, and that means that we don't even use the data that we have. We don't even need to think about the data we don't have. The data we have in mobility is huge, and we look today at a few examples how bringing everything on a single platform really unlock the value of data. And data and AI allows us to anticipate issues before they become escalations. So we can stop giving excuses and work early on solutions with the business. And that's how you bring data to the business. That's how you become proactive, as you said, and being strategic.
Yeah, and we're talking about it. I mean, what Benivo has put together is an end-to-end solution with all integrations. I think that's a really important point to make, because I know when Benivo started, it was pretty much an employee experience company, and it's moved and it's pivoted as companies do over time, especially in tech. But there's really three pillars of mobility, aren't there? I mean, there's three angles. There's the company itself and how it manages things internally. There's the suppliers, and then there's the employees, the employee experience. I mean, how would you describe those three working together in a sort of a fully integrated end-to-end platform?
Yeah, so what we created is we took those three pillars and put them on a single platform, meaning that all the data sits in a single place. So when a vendor submits a receipt, it's automatically synced with an expense that was submitted by the employee and with a payroll instruction given by the corporate, and it all sits under a single place, creating that comp accumulation automated, not a process anymore. So I can see instant, and we look at that instantly, what are my actual spend and how does it meet the budget that was approved to identify the issue. So connecting those three pillars, the corporate, the suppliers, the partners, and the employees on a single platform brings all the data in a single place for the first time, allows to do payments to all three parties, allows automation of workflows and the reduction of manual work, and finally gives us access to this data that allows us to anticipate what could go wrong, what could fail in our processes, and how do we make sure that we stop doing admin work and we use the human capital that we have to do problem solving, because that's what people can do. People can do problem solving. Technology should automate the manual work, remove the thing that is redundant, repetitive. And where people add value is where in those special cases where you need a human being, where you don't want a process, an automated process to deliver that value.
I think that's a really important point, is that humans should do jobs that only humans can do, and machines should do jobs that machines should do. And if a human is doing a job that a machine could do, then something has gone terribly wrong. And one of the classics of that is if you're inputting the same piece of data more than once, or if you're copying and pasting data from one spreadsheet to another, you've just done something that a machine could have done, and you shouldn't be having to do it. Because if we want to be, again, add value and be proactive and be strategic, we've got to put down the stuff that actually technology can do. So maybe we should get into looking at some of this. I mean, we mentioned the 3 pillars, we mentioned the company, we mentioned the suppliers, and we mentioned the employees. Maybe we should start off then with the first of those and look at it from a company point of view. And I think there was a demo that you wanted to show to give people an idea of the sort of things that can now be done with technology.
Yes, so let's do that. So we're gonna look. I'm gonna show
I'll share your screen, right? Hang on, let's put it up here. Okay, so what are we looking at now? This is a demo platform, I see.
Yes. So we're gonna look at the demo platform, and we're gonna go of a company called Stark Industries, and we're gonna go through the 3 pillars of mobility: the corporate, the employee experience, and the vendor. We're starting with the corporate platform, and the first thing that will often start the process is a cost estimate. So I'll start with a cost estimate. We launched the smart cost estimate last year alongside Vialto partners, using the tax rules of Vialto, and allowing to really transform how cost estimates are being done. So let's have a look at one cost estimate and see how I can get an instant cost estimate. First, all the information is pre-populated for me. We take it from the HRIS system, whether it's WordPay or another platform, and add it into automatically. So I have the salary, I have the incentive.
I just want to come in and say that. So there's full integration with the HRIS platform. I know that sometimes of itself is a major manual headache.
Absolutely. And I can see now already all that information, and I can start and adjust that, right? So let's say the sources of data that I have, I can have data coming from my one of my data providers, whether ECA, Mercer, Air Inc., or on top of that, I can use my actual data, right? So because we capture, having an end-to-end platform, we have all the actual data in real time. We are identifying where the actual data is different from the data coming from my data provider, and we can work with the corporate to suggest which one do you want to use. Do you want to use what you're getting from a data provider, or on top of that, do you want to use your actual data based on the real spend that you are seeing? Or you can override it yourself. So there are 3 layers here, right? So let's say here I can say that on education, there's 10,000 approved, and I actually want to I want to change that to a different number. I'll approve 12,000. I can do that, and I need to give a reason. I can't just do it. I can't just make a change. And why do we force capturing those reasons? Because we can automatically then create the exception reports. We'll look at that later. But the idea is everything happening on a platform, allowing us to really use data in a different way. So what we're seeing now is the line items for this cost estimate. I've captured all of them here. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I can change them, I can iterate with them, and I can run a cost estimate here. So I can just run one estimate and then see what are going to be my results. And it will automatically push the call into, push the data, into a Vialto partners and get from them what is actually my cost estimate. So I started one here and I changed it, so I'm gonna run it again. And I will be So I'm going to run that cost estimate. And the idea is that once I get the result, I instantly get the data as it shows on the yeah, here it is. So I can show it immediately how it comes from the Alto partner, and I can see the total cost. I can see the breakdown by the year. I can see all my steps, and I can send it now for approval. So I can create an automatic workflow that will send it for approval through the platform, right? So there's no need to do a manual workflow. We automate that workflow. I'm not going to download that. I can download it, of course, if I want, but I can do it through the platform, send it for approval by the business, and they will get a link that they can go and decide if they are approving it or rejecting it or requesting more clarification. And it's all captured on the platform, which also protects the employees' data, because downloading that information and sending it by email is not secure. Instead, we're sending it through a secure link. And that means that also if we change our mind and actually, oh, I want to change that cost estimate, I can still do that, run it again, and the link will automatically update. So giving me a lot more flexibility as I run a cost estimate. So running cost estimates and getting that analysis is one thing. The other thing will be, how do we use that data, right? And we talked before about one of these reports allowing us to show the estimate versus the actual. So let me open that report.
Okay, so this is showing estimated cost versus actual cost. And this is, again, in real time.
Correct. And that's, as we talked before, one of the challenges is that when we get the actual, it's so late that we can only apologize for not meeting the estimated budget, and need to work with the business. How do they solve up the mess that they approved one cost and now they need to somehow justify why they spent 3x? That's never a good conversation. Now, because everything sits on our platform, all the expense reimbursement by the employee, all the allowance payments to the employees, all the vendor, we are paying vendors as well. We are managing their invoices. Everything sits on that platform. Then we also can deliver compensation accumulation automatically in real time. And as we capture all that data,
okay, hang on, let me just come in on that. So I just want to emphasize this. We're delivering comp accumulation in real time.
Exactly.
And that's linking in with the HRIS system.
And with the cost estimate. So I can identify, we are creating AI alerts when the actual spend is reaching a certain threshold. Let's say when an allowance that we approved is going to reach 80% of the actual spend, we want to know about it to make sure it doesn't go above 100%. So we can identify in real time if the actual spend on this assignment is looking to be much higher than what was approved. And then we can work with the business on solutions. Do you want to reduce elsewhere? Do you want to know it in advance, approve it, but at least now you know it? It's a decision to make. It's not an excuse for a failure. It's a decision that we can help the business to go into alternatives. And I'll give a spoiler also for something that is a new announcement that we're going to make in a few shows, is that we're going to show how the cost estimate is actually helping us to find the cost saving opportunities automatically. Because today, cost estimates run on a single scenario. One person going from this country to that country and that policy and that dates. And if we want to achieve cost savings, we need to go to either a tax specialist it's very tough for us to do it. It's either very expensive or very tough and then rarely done. We're going to show how AI is transforming that by running hundreds, maybe sometimes even thousands of different scenarios to identify the optimal scenario that will deliver the cost savings and the business needs.
Wow. Okay, that's mind-blowing. So forget doing 2 or 3 iterations. We can talk about doing thousands or even tens of thousands of iterations to get the information from AI.
Yes. So exciting things are still coming. Good. So we looked a little bit about the cost estimate. We looked at the actual versus the estimate. We talked about comp accumulation. Let's look about other area. Let's look about a little bit about vendor management. So part of what we do in Benivo, we do vendor management, meaning that we have a vendor network, but we can work also with any vendor or with other vendors, networks, etc. And
can I just say, Nitsan, just as we get into that, you mentioned the vendor network, but if there is a supplier out there that would like to be part of our vendor network, then please do reach out, because we're always looking to add suppliers into our vendor network.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be fantastic. So what's happening today with regards to SLAs is that most suppliers measure their own SLAs and then report it to the corporate, which doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Because SLAs should be independent. And they're also only looking at the past. So what we are doing is we're tracking SLAs in real time, which means we can identify potential service failures even before it becomes an escalation. So we are looking here at an immigration scorecard, for example. I can see all my cases globally. I can drill down by employee, by population type, by the provider, but I can also see the different steps of every immigration case. Let's say they have 5 steps, and I can see here step 1, and I can see on average, it takes 2.2 to contact the employee, 2.2 days. And let's say that's the SLA is 3 days, then that's okay. But what we can also see is that in real time, there are now 11 employees who are stuck in this stage for longer than the SLA. And we can identify who are these 11 and action on that. So there is a process failure here. Something that was not supposed to happen has happened, and we don't need to wait for the employee to complain about it. The employee doesn't even know that something is broken. We already get an alert, the vendor gets an alert, and we can action on that to fix it before we are getting an escalation. And that's where we see, like, mobility shouldn't be the last one to know when something goes wrong. That's also why all the vendor communication is happening on the platform. We're giving full visibility. We're even using predictive analytics to see when should employees get their visa. For example, when do we expect them to get their visa approval, and how does it meet with their work start date? Okay, so for example,
yeah, you can't. I was just saying that's just awesome. So we're using predictive analytics to actually estimate when people will get their visa based on when others have done it in the past in the same circumstances.
Yes, and then exactly, and when we compare it to the work start date, again, we can avoid that excuse of saying, "Oops, sorry, couldn't get your employee there on time." We can say, in 3 months, you have this employee starting. They're unlikely to get the visa on time. Let's start look at solutions, whether it's EOR, whether it's start with a remote approach, postpone the work start. But it's not going on excuses. It's working on solutions with the business, bringing strategic value based on data.
Okay, so I think maybe we ought to move on to looking at the employee platform as well. Before we do, a question was asked. I think it might actually really been answered in the comments, but it's from Lila Harris. Does the smart cost estimate also accommodate non-equalized assignments? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Also one-way move. We went with a more sophisticated scenario on this one, but yes, all of them.
Okay. So let's move on to looking at the employee side of the platform.
All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen for a second, and I'll switch a platform, and then we will I'll share my screen again.
Right, so we're just going to look at the employee platform in one moment. But it is quite amazing what this tech is now doing. You said the fact it's fully integrated with HRIS, it's doing comp accumulation, is all very, very impressive, and I've seen a lot of excitement in the comments there.
All right, good. So,
right, I'm trying to share your screen. I can't see it here for me to share, actually, Nitsan. It's like AI, but for mobility, says Nicola. Here we go. Your screen's come up. Right.
All right, so we've now changed roles. We are no longer the corporate. We are now the employee who is relocating. And as the employee who is relocating, I'm invited to a platform that has all the information for me live, from everything I need to do, my action hub, when do I need to do it, and how do I get it done. Then I get information about my destination, money, and benefits. And this is, I'm going to go over all policies, because traditionally Benivo was not used for all policies. That was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But 2 years ago, we've added those additional capabilities, and since then we've been working, or even more now than 2 years. Time flies, huh? We have been working with all policies, so managed services, core flex, and lump sum, and I'll try to give at least a taster of all of them. So we are starting now with the managed services, and that's when the list of benefits are selected for the employee. I can see here which benefits are available for me, and I can get a policy consultation. We are partnering with RMCs, with others on the market who are providing that hand-holding experience. So a dedicated relocation consultant is part of the Benivo experience using the Benivo tools, but by an expert provider who can help for me with a policy briefing, with booking of services, with managing escalation, all that hand-holding and VIP experience. So
because the point I want to make there, Nitzan, is that we should emphasize that Benivo is a tech company. So these sorts of services, which are, if you like, person-to-person services, like destination services or those sorts of one-on-one meetings you might have, we want to partner with people, and we do partner with people. And similarly, in terms of other services like shipping and stuff like that, if it's not a tech platform, we're not doing. We are the end-to-end tech platform. We have got hundreds of partners in each of these areas. But if you're not a partner and you'd like to be a partner, then please do reach out to us.
Absolutely. So I can see here the status. I can see all my services. And Brian, you made that example so vivid, right? When I order a pizza, I get a better experience than in my mobility services. And we took that pizza experience concept and brought it to life. So I can see on each service, as the employee, what's the status of delivery? Has been initiated? When are the tax return preparation? It helps me manage the expectations. As the employee, I know what's coming next. I know what will happen. And the other value is that I also know the data. And all the dashboard I showed before that help us identify the process gaps come from here. Because we capture all the steps, we can identify when something is not working according to these steps. So all the vendors and all that and the suppliers, I can see here, what am I eligible to? How do I redeem it? How does it work? And as well as connect with the relevant people that I would like to speak with about that. Right, so I can see my key contacts and contact each of them, who are the people who are involved, and book sessions with them online. If I'm looking at some of my actions, I can see, for example, settling in. If I want to open a bank account, I won't go through this entire flow, but I see here data of what others have done. What do other employees who work for Stark Industries and moved here to Mountain View have done? Which bank account they open? Was it a good experience, bad experience? Would they recommend that? So it helps me make decisions. It helps me with data as the employee know where other people stay, how much they pay, what's their commute time to work, all that information on a single place. And if I'm jumping forward to the money section, I can see here 3 main products around payments. One of them is the pay later. It's a repayable cash advance to employees that then they repay back in monthly installments, interest-free, and very popular with high compliance companies who wants to offer some money ahead of either the employee joining day or host a payroll day, etc. Then we can see the relocation allowance. So switching now from managed services, let's say, to the lump sum experience. Let's say I'm a lump sum employee, I'm eligible for $5,000. I can go and automatically access everything on the platform. I have one flow which includes for me all the steps. It tells me the key points of my policy. And I can even sign here my repayment agreement that is fully integrated, fully populated from the HRIS. All the information is already here. I can go, enter the information and just sign. And I can then how do I want, and I can choose the currency. and I can choose the amount. So I can even decide that I'll get some of the money in my home currency, some in the host currency. Be directly paid to me by the platform between instantly to 1 working day, anywhere in the world. So I can get my funds. I can get them through a bank account, a virtual card, PayPal, many ways to get that. And it's fully automated, meaning that there is no manual work, and that's why we don't charge anything for that. This is a process that used to be manual and took days, sometimes weeks, and it was a nightmare to consolidate, now fully automated.
And people can receive.
The final bit is around the expense reimbursement. We've also automated expense reimbursement, and that's going to be across all policies. I can go and I can submit my expenses, and I can automatically within a few minutes click next, and automatically the platform makes a decision. The AI algorithm compares the receipt to my policy, extract the information automatically, check, validate, and make a decision whether to pay or reject or raise it as an exception, and fully automate that. So that's why expense reimbursement is also included in the Benivo experience, and allowing us not only to offer it at no additional cost and much faster, but also to get all the data, extract all the data from that compensation accumulation we started talking about. And you can see how all the different areas of those 3 pillars of the corporate experience, the vendor, suppliers experience, and the employee experience bring that data on a single platform.
Okay, we've got one question that's come through here I just want to put up. This is from Nicola, a good friend of the show, who says, I might have asked before, but are mobile solutions, apps, planned or desired? That would be impressive. Next level to what is already amazing. Absolutely.
So the entire experience we've seen is also available on native mobile apps that I can anyone here download from their Google, from the App Store, or from the App Store is on iPhone, or from the Google Store, as well as use on a mobile device, and it's fully responsible. So yes, it's 100% mobile friendly. There's a lot more. We won't have a lot of time to cover all of that. I'll quickly show a few things on the 3rd pillar, which is the vendor platform. B-vendor is the vendor I
You've literally got about 2 minutes, Nitzan, although we might run over slightly because we just head up right up to the hour. So
yeah,
please
so I'll do 30 seconds here about vendors. I can see as the information comes to me, I can update the status of delivery. Of course, we connect with APIs to our vendors, those who support that. Otherwise, they go into this platform and update it. I can submit here my invoices and get paid. And that's how we capture all that data in real time. And we are also introducing cybersecurity. So I can see here that we are protecting the employees' data. One of the challenges in our industry is that data is scattered all over. And also the employees' personal data is touching too many places, and it's too much exposed. What we've done is we use technology to reduce the risk of a data breach by 97% by protecting that employee data, and that's fully embedded into our vendor solution, and you can see here some of those examples.
Okay, so thank you so much, Nitsa. I'm going to bring back Kristen and Julia and Tally, so the team is all back. Thank you for an amazing demo. I just wanted to give one last shout out to the fact we are launching next week the top 100 diversity champions, and at the same time, again, a big shout out to Kristen Feisen and Kelly West and everybody else at the Mobility Collective for all the great work that you are doing. And we're looking forward to working with you guys as well to promote diversity. If out there, there are people that you know, and I'm sure there are many of them, who you think are real diversity champions working, and this is an in-house list, I should stress, working in-house roles, then please do start putting your thinking caps on, and we are going live next week with our collecting all the names for our top 100 diversity champions in mobility. It will be a bit of a first for our industry, and I think well overdue. All that remains for me to do is to thank Kristen, to thank Julia, to thank Nitzan, as ever, to thank Tali Gorin, our show producer. And most of all, to thank you, our audience, for being with us. We've really enjoyed the show today. We hope you have. We will be back this time next week. So from everybody at The View from the Top, goodbye and have a great week. Take care, everybody.